Hello, everybody. A guest of mine today is Alan. Alan is a young, prospective man who I met not long ago, and he had an honor of being my student at the Hochschule Koblenz.
Yeah, man, nice to be here. I mean, you're a really nice guy. You're a very cool professor. I don't have much to say really apart from that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Alan is interested a lot into fashion and sports, as I know. And what's your favorite fashion brand?
My favorite fashion brand is a very niche brand called Gallery Department. So what they do, it basically is in their name. They take certain pieces of clothing that are already on the market. For example, they took Levi's jeans
Okay.
and they sort of put it through this process like in a gallery. They started trying different cuts of jeans, like boot cuts, or they flared it out so the bottom is a bit bigger, and they put like very different colors and stuff. They take like this new approach to it, like you imagine it being like a workshop, right?
Okay.
So like you take something that's already there but you modify it.
I need to have a look at that. I don't know the brand
Yeah,
yet.
it's quite cool actually. And they also do like basic stuff like t-shirts and stuff, but they really have their own unique approach. I think it's very cool.
Okay, good.
Yeah, man.
I'll have a look at that. It
Do
sounds.
definitely. Maybe it is something for you, maybe not.
I'll have a look. We'll have a look. What about the sports? What sports do you enjoy?
Yeah, so generally speaking, I enjoy sports a lot. I have this huge passion since I was a child, but the sport I do have the biggest flame for since I was a child is American football, actually. It's quite untypical in Germany as well, because, Europe in general, and especially Germany, is a very soccer heavy
Oh,
country. So every boy in his life has gone through the soccer phase, especially in Germany. But when I was a child, I was always a bit bigger, and contact was very rude. And soccer people, you tackle them and they like roll on the ground and stuff. So then I tried football, and then I really realized that is a sport for me actually, because it's not about your body type. You have all these different people there. You are like such a huge team, and the bond is very unique, and that's why I really love it. But in general, I watch all types of sports: soccer, American football, basketball, even, and I've tried everything, even volleyball and curling.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I played American football a bit back in the day, right? Yeah, long
Mhm.
ago, but it was a very great experience for me. Do you play football?
Yeah, recently I started playing back again. I was injured for, let's just say, 1.5 to 2 years. First, I sprained this ankle, and then it was the other. And ankles are very frequent injuries if you don't treat them right enough and care about them long enough. But I just had my first practice session yesterday, and it was very, very awesome. And I hope I can pick up from there where I left off. Maybe see how far this gets me, right?
Maybe you get to this professional level where hopefully you play NFL.
Man, I hope so.
Yeah,
We'll never know.
we never know. You know why I quit American football? I quit American football because of my ankle as well. I
Mm-hmm.
broke it during
Mm-hmm.
one of the games. So that's how it all got done for me. But good luck.
Oh,
Hopefully it's
thanks.
going to
Yeah.
work. What is the topic that we're going to talk today? The idea of
Great.
the podcast is to really select a topic that you want to discuss
Yep.
with me and our guests who are going to watch this video. And as a primary guest, you are the one in charge of the topic, right? So what
Great.
do you want to talk about?
So, the main topic I want to talk about actually is motivation in life. And why I picked this topic, it was because in people my age, I see they do lack a lot of motivation in life. They are very performance result orientated. And that's what I think is not very good in life. It's very self destructive, if you can say it like that. And yeah, one thing I want to tell the people in your podcast as well was when me and you were in Turkey. So, just a quick FYI, we had a class together last semester where we went to Turkey together and had like this huge project going on, but I don't want to explain
You
further.
can go for it.
Perfect. Yeah, so basically, we worked with this company, we got this briefing, and then we had to like what was it again? We had to explore around in the internet and stuff. And then at the end of the day and at the end of the project, we had to go up to them, present this huge marketing campaign to them with certain goals and stuff. And yeah, so basically, after the whole project was finished, Nika actually came up to me and he told me that in life, if I am going to work on my communication skills, my soft skills, that I could become a motivational speaker. And that is one thing that really stuck to me when it comes to you. When I think of you, it's the first thing I think of. And also your classes. That's also another thing I want to mention is I'm not a very big fan of attending class. I think you know that. Yeah. And the first class I ever had with you was very, very interesting. Not because of the info that you taught us, but more because of the way you tackled it. You really tried to reach us, not only with your brain, but like with our soul. You really tried to connect to us. And that's what I think. Kudos to you, actually.
Thank
I
you.
think it's very great.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So, getting back to Turkey, that's when you decided to pick up on the topic of the motivation. Thank you. That was a very great project. I believe that helped me to grow professionally, and you as well, I believe,
Yeah.
as you mentioned it now. And coming back now to topic of motivation, right? You said a lot of young people lack this motivation in their life. How do you think? What is that influenced by?
I would say it's mainly influenced by social media and comparison because let's just say like people like me, I am also very interested in sports, right? But I don't have the ideal figure or I'm not this good looking, tall, athletic person. And that's where people start to compare themselves to the standard where the bar got so high up only because of social media.
Yeah,
And now the people in my age think we have to reach the same level to be not ideal but to be normal. And that's where people start to talk bad about themselves, or even they start to overestimate themselves. They don't even pick up on their hobbies anymore.
yeah,
They lose passion, they lose interest. And that's really heartbreaking, man, because I can tell about own experience or from my friends.
yeah.
They had like this huge passion for something and they only stopped because they started comparing themselves to other people. And that's where it really should stop, right? So I think mainly it's social media.
Mainly social media.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, when we think about that, right, social media gives you the standards, but it's up to us people to understand where should our standards start as well, right? And the thing with these young people, young professionals, I would call them at this point, yeah, I see that a lot in social media as well.
Hmm.
Usually, when you look at them, they're all these beautiful and all these perfect, and they live
Yeah,
in this perfect world of, hey, I am the angel in the universe.
definitely.
And yeah, it sometimes drives people down, right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, it can also be a booster, can it not?
Yeah, definitely. It can also be a confidence booster. It's all about how you are going into it with what mindset are you tackling this topic. Because let's just say, for instance, also career wise, right? You only see successful people in TV. They never talk about how they got there. They only talk about how are they doing now. You know, the most famous example is Steve Jobs, right? He started selling computers in his garage,
Yeah.
and that's where everybody could start. It's not only about being motivated and staying motivated. I think it's also more about staying persistent. What I mean is, in times where it's not going great or even breaking up, everything is going bad, you still have to be on it because that's what life is teaching you.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest challenge in staying motivated and even reaching your goal, I think. And that's where a lot of people start to give in and then even just leave it there. Yeah.
Do you think if those people who are successful really talked about how they became successful on the social media, do you think that could help people to become a bit more motivated in what they do? Because there might be a both effect. Because
Mhm.
usually when people try to become successful, right? If we take my journey from being a guy from the one of the small cities in Georgia to becoming an international lecturer in Germany,
Mhm.
it's a lot of effort, right? So when I start speaking about that, do you think that could motivate people, or can it have this negative effect as well of somebody saying, "Oh my God, that took these guys so long to get to where he is now or where she is now, and why would I even try?"
Yeah. That's an interesting question actually because I would say it does actually help. I think it is also very, very important for the next generation because, as if I'm allowed to mention that, we are the future workforce, right?
Yeah,
So we are already in this like hole of dirt where we are so unmotivated,
yeah,
and we could actually be in need of a lot of people, successful people even, that can teach us their ways, and they can tell us their story to give us this hope even, or more, like they can give us so much information and feedback. And I think it's very important. It's not only important about what you speak, actually also how you present it to the rest of us, right? So because we talked a lot also about your past and my past, and yeah, the way how you talk to the people is also very, very important. But I think in general you could only benefit from that, right? Because for me personally, it's never too late to become successful. if it if it's like I'm turning 60 and then I'm going to be successful, or tomorrow, right? We don't know. At the end of the day, success is also very different.
yeah,
It has a different meaning for every person. One person does connect success with money, the other
yeah.
person does connect success to, I don't know, mental growth even. And yeah, I don't think you could like not benefit from that, right?
Accumulated knowledge usually helps a lot
Definitely.
to learn how others became successful in what they think they are successful at, right? So
Hmm.
I would say, yeah, accumulating knowledge, I agree with you there, helps a lot of new generation to really become self-aware. Back in the day, it was done through books. People would usually write books, and then others would read them and understand, hey, oh, this is good, this is what I can learn from it. Now with the spread of the internet and social media, accumulating this knowledge is easier, but filtering becomes a bit more
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah,
Filtering it makes it, yeah, makes it, that's the important part of social media, I would say, to filter what do we want to hear and what do we not want to hear, right?
yeah.
But the idea is, it's very difficult to get youth off the internet. I would say
Hmm.
it's now impossible to get the youth off the internet, because even my generation, generations older, my father, for example, uses YouTube to watch videos,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, he does. Ugh. And the idea comes down to, if we cannot get people off the internet to not have all this bullshit around them spinning around their head, what can we do to help those people navigate towards what they are seeking?
Mhm.
How do you think?
Yeah, so YouTube, like for your dad, for example, is very challenging. So social to tackle that in terms of social media could be close to impossible, because you know it yourself, you're scrolling on YouTube and then you find yourself in this rabbit hole of videos that become worse and worse and worse with
Yeah,
time. But social media is actually also the best point of beginning to start to filter, and it's a two-sided sword actually. So in all honesty, I don't have a huge idea, but I would start with social media, and then the first person that accumulated this, let's say, new profound knowledge and this better picture and the greater picture, then has to start spreading it around,
yeah,
let it be through their own channels, for example a story or something, or just by word of mouth. And that also that helps in the first place, and then they could see where this is going to get them with time passing, right?
yeah. Now let's get back to you. You said you want to talk about motivation.
Yeah,
How do you motivate yourself?
good question. So motivation for me is this daily thing, right? So, like I told you many, many times, I would describe myself as this motivational motor around the people close to me. I really try to lift everyone up with myself. What I tend to do is compare myself daily, and then always try to find something where I can improve, or find a characteristic where I can pick up and then try to improve by each day passing. You have days where you are less productive, but I never see that day as you didn't do anything today, or you were so unproductive. I see this day like sometimes you do need to take a foot off the gas and just try to take things in, learn from the others, and just be clear of what's going on around you, right? So yeah, I would say that's how I do it. I never try to talk it down. I always try to find this way around it, right? To see the good and the bad, but you also have to stay realistic, and then you also have to criticize yourself, right? But not to be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It really resonates with sport there as well. Sometimes you really
Definitely,
gotta
yeah.
take a step back.
Hmm.
Let's take a very simple example, because when I was a sportsman, I used to push myself daily, really, where I would say, hey, you know, this is how it works and that's how it's gonna be. I'm gonna work my ass off. And at some point, I just found myself having zero energy, simply because I didn't stop and think, "Hey, where am I going to?" Then I would have been sore for like rest 3 months, or okay, not three, but at least a week, I would say. So I would
Hmm.
find myself get my hand injured or something, and that would really get me to the point where, oh my God, what am I doing with myself? Why didn't I take the day off? I guess it's the same with motivation. At some point, you try to be better daily, but at some point, you step back and observe where have you gotten from previous week or previous month to
Definitely.
next month.
Definitely. Another thing that is very important for me is to be open to make mistakes and to also be open to learn from them, right? Because that's what I think a lot of people lack in terms of motivation is they are not very open to making mistakes. People are only seeking to do everything right in the first
First tries.
try. They want to study so much. For example, let's just take schools in general. They want to study so hard to be done as quickly as possible, but then at the end of the day, they're standing there with this degree and they don't know what to do with it, right?
Yeah,
And that's where also failure comes, because every successful person is just a loser who never gave up. That's how I think of it, right? And yeah, let's just say, for example, you come home after a very stressful day, right? Each and every day you lie in bed and you ask yourself, what did I do wrong today? Or what did I do right today, right? You just take it all in. And what I like to think of myself is, how do I put it in words actually? Yeah. With the mindset I have now, I wouldn't have done the mistake in the first place back then. But back then, if I didn't make the mistake, I wouldn't have had the mindset I have right now. So also failing does make you grow even more than only succeeding, right? Because if you have to see both sides, I it's very important for
yeah,
me, right? Winning and losing, it's going hand in hand, and I think losing is even more important than winning in life.
true. Fair. That makes a lot of sense, really. I fully agree with that. So looking at the losing and winnings, it both helps. And in that your case, I believe you compare yourself to who you were the day before, and then you also say go and lay down at the end of the day and say, hey, what did I do wrong or what did I do right? So I
Definitely,
make it better the next day, whi-
definitely.
which is great. Do you motivate people around you, as you mentioned that?
Yeah.
If yes, who do you motivate and how do you motivate them?
Yeah. So as we are only talking about it, I even love motivating people. I do it daily, all the time, every chance I get, right? So it's all started even at my football practices, where I got the first recognition for my huge motivating skills. Um, until like my what was it, 18th birthday or 19th birthday, I was always this shy guy and never really wanted to say anything due to my visual appearance, because in my past I was also a bit heavier.
You look very handsome.
Thank you.
You should just go, oh, stop it. Just drop that.
Oh man, I'm blushing. Stop. Yeah, and how it started, we were in the locker room, and it was halftime of a game, and I was always the guy who just sat in the corner around, and I was just listening, because I never really had the guts to stand up and say anything. And the game was really close. It was like, I don't know, we were down like 3 or 4 points, and we came back into the locker room, and everyone mentally they gave up on the game, and nobody stood up to say anything. And that's where I just stood up and I wanted to make this difference, right? Then I started to talk to the people next to me, because what you usually like to do is only if you're like this introvert person or like only to yourself, you only start talking to people that are close to you, right? If it's like geographically or
Yeah.
mentally. I started talking to my teammates of my position, and I was telling them, dude, it's only 4 points. Why are we sitting down and why are we so depressed? We still have this whole half left. And I was talking and talking and talking. And then once I turned around, so my back was to the whole locker room, I saw the whole team got around me, actually, and they were starting to listen to me. And so they built this huge circle around me. I was in the middle talking, and everybody listened. And then that's where the reality really for me kicked in, where I got the information and the confirmation of, oh, maybe you could be good for motivating people. And then sadly, we did lose the game, but we got so fired up in the locker room. That's all we needed. We fought until the last second. And then the coaches even came up to me, told me, dude, why not go for captain, right? It's only about the mental skills, even at this point, because I was not the best player, right? So, yeah.
Wow.
And not only sports, just in life in general, I like to give people a lot of words of confirmation because many people need that. I see it in their eyes. Some people have like the tough time or something. I just go up to them, I tell them whatever it may be that's challenging you. If it's something very small for me, maybe it could be this huge issue for you, right? That's where I go to up to people and just tell them you have to push through because there's no way around it. And if there's anybody you want to talk to or you need to talk to, I'm always open. So what I like to do is give those people also a chance to speak if they need it. And they can always reach up to me. Motivation is not only about talking, it's also about being available for a person. And yeah, as I said, right? Confirmation, a lot of people need that.
Yeah, truly. I mean, me personally, I try to motivate a lot of people, and at some points, I feel so down that I also would like to hear the word of, "Hey, you're doing good," or whatever you're doing, it's there. And I
Yeah.
do have two or three people who always tell me that, "Hey, Nika, whatever you are doing it right.
Mhm.
Don't quit, don't give up. It's you who is going to drive it, and we are proud to have you in our life." And that helps me a lot to refuel the energy.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like a lot of motivators need a motivator, just like a lot of psychologists need a psychologist,
Yeah.
a lot of doctors need a doctor. So you need to have somebody who is ready to give part of their affirmation, part of their life devices to you. Do you have such a person in your life? Do you have somebody who motivates you? Because I do have several friends who help me whenever I'm feeling down there. I just call them and I go like, "Hey, yeah, this is this tough moment in my life, and I really want somebody to listen to me."
Mhm.
And they get back to me and they, "Hey, let's discuss it." And they would usually give me such a great advice that I would never thought of. It was so simple, so plain in front of my face, but it just them saying it makes it completely understandable. Do you have somebody like that in your life?
Yeah, definitely. So, first of all, I would say in my case it would also be like my friends. So they are my childhood friends even, and that's what we tend to do since we were like young. We were in one class even at high school and stuff, and we were always in this position that the people betted against us, but we still every day we pushed and pushed and pushed, and we managed to push through because we only had us to ourselves and nobody that believed in us. So we were put in this position where we had to believe in ourselves, right? So that's where I would say it's also my friends and also my family, of course. It's the fuel for the soul. You come home, you just talk to them. Nobody understands you better than family and friends. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, true that, true that. When we think about that, you mentioned a little bit that the world, everybody would push down on you or bet against you, right? And I think that happens a lot with, especially when you are young. You feel like the whole world is against you and pushing you down instead of motivating you to be a better citizen, be a better person. Can you tell me a bit more about it? How may I ask? How did that happen in your life, and what motivated you to be who you are now, except
Definitely.
of family and friends who had a faith in you?
Yeah, definitely. So, where it all started basically was high school because I'm not this academic weapon, or I'm not the clever guy, I'm not very book smart. So my teachers always came up to me in grade 6 and 7, where you still have a lot of time to grow and to become a more knowledgeable person. And they came up to me, even my principal, and they were asking me if school and going to college really was the right move for me, right? So it's even started in the early years for us, me and my friends, where the teachers came up to us and really questioned our motivation for school and how far we want to go in life. Even in class, sometimes they told us, "You guys are never gonna amount to something," right? And the first time hearing it, dude, it breaks your heart. I came home, I was crying like a baby. I was talking to my mother, but with time passing and succeeding, not year for year, but exam for exam, that's where it started for us to try to find, like, we took it like a game, like checkpoints, right? Make it through this course and to this course. That's where it really started for us. And I grew up so much in it that it also even started with my weight. Of course, people always were talking down on me, dude, you're never gonna become skinnier, or even, I don't know, the first thing you have to do, whatever it may be, they always told me, bro, get skinny. You want to buy a nice car, get skinny first. Everything I like to talk about, even when it comes to sports, I never really had the guts to start playing American football in a club or something, because I was so uncomfortable with
Yeah.
myself because of the people surrounding me, right? All the bad influence. And with the time, I got so used to it, it didn't really affect me that much anymore. And now I can proudly say I have grown so much character out of people doubting me. I love it now when people underestimate me or even doubt me, right? If they bet against me, I love it when people do that, because that fuels me so much, because then they give me this chance to really show them, if if I actually do it, they will be knocked off their boots. And if I am still not achieving it, I still have the chance to show this person, hey, it was a close fight. So that's where I think mental toughness as well, that's also motivation for me.
There's a very interesting story compared to the school one, which I kept now in my head. So there was this guy who everybody was thought was uneducated, stupid, let's call it that, right? And they would make fun of that person, right? And then one time the teacher came in, the new teacher came in, the classmates started laughing at that guy, saying, hey, he's not educated, he doesn't know math. And the way they justified it was, hey, we have these two coins. One says 5, second says 10. We give that person both of the coins, and he will only take 5 because it's bigger in size,
Yeah.
right? And the teacher didn't believe it. The teacher thought it was crazy. No way, right? And they really did that. So the students got there. They gave him 5 and 10, told him take whichever you want, and the students really took 5, right? And the teacher started questioning, okay, I guess that person is really not educated well enough. And then after the classes, the teacher got to the student and told him, hey, why did you take 5? You need to understand that even though the size of 5 is bigger, 10 will get you more things.
Yeah.
You know what was the answer from the student? If I take 10, they will never give me money anymore. So it's about yes, people usually do
Yeah.
underestimate you, but sometimes you are indeed smarter than those people who think you you are not smart enough, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
So sometimes that's just to show us that, hey, we do. And people tend to be very negative, right? And we usually, sometimes people think, hey, this guy's not going to be successful enough, or this guy's not going to achieve becoming a star. But
Yeah,
that's not it.
100%.
We really measure people according to our ideas of them.
Yep.
It's never about what is in their head, right? I cannot really say, hey, Alan is a genius or not, based on who you really are, but it's about a perception of mine in my brain of you, right? So I do believe that motivating others helps them to build this perception of themselves, of being
Definitely.
better, and helping them to achieve the stars that you probably thought they would never achieve, right? And one more question: what is one advice you would give to people who need motivation in their life right now?
Yeah. One important piece of advice I like to give is always sometimes you have to be proud of yourself. People tend to be so unfriendly to themselves, right? They wake up in the morning, they take a shower, and the first thing they do is they leave home right after they got their clothes on, right? Take a moment every day, recap on what heights you reached. Take a moment in for yourself to be proud of yourself. Take a moment in to recap on all those moments you had on the mental trip and the journey you took, right? So that's where I think every person should start to tap themselves on the shoulders and say, hey, I did so many great things. Now I can reach this new height.
Well, very important advice to having a tap on the shoulder saying, hey, you did a great job. Well, Alan, I thank you very much for being on a podcast. It was a very, I would say, very sincere and indeed very interesting podcast for me as well. Because now at some point I get, stuck in this routine myself where I don't know where I'm going and if I'm going the right way. So I believe now I'll take a bit more time reflecting on what am I doing right and what am I doing wrong, and at the same time sometimes tapping myself on the shoulder saying, hey Nika, what you do is not right or wrong, it's about you. If you feel happy about it, that's what the
Definitely.
life is about. Thank you very much
My pleasure.
for being here. I thank as well our guests who are going to be watching us, our viewers, so-called viewers,
Thank you.
and have a great day. Wishing you a good one. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.